Hello, and welcome to this, the final episode of Season 1 of the In the Green Room podcast. Thank you to everybody that's listened to every episode so far. I'm incredibly grateful for all those that have tuned in. Often these episodes are over an hour long. I've had a lot of great feedback from both listeners and also those actors that have given up their time to be on the show, so I'm very grateful. This interview is with Bethany Fenton, who, if you've listened to the entire podcast season so far, you'll know that she was on the first episode. That first interview that we did is now well over 12 months old, and when I decided that I wanted to create a whole season of interview style podcasts, I asked Bethany to come back on and sit down with me for another interview, mainly because the timing of the first interview that we did together was really interesting, in that she had just found out just after, I think actually, that she was about to be made redundant from her day job, and she decided she was going to take a leap of faith and take her redundancy package and see if she could, the time that bought her, see if she could really start to build the foundations of a solid acting career and see what work would come her way. So it seemed apropos to get her back to have a discussion 12 months-ish after that redundancy happened, to see how she got on, see what she learnt, see if it's gone well, how much work she's managed to get, what pressure she may have been under. We talk about all that sort of stuff, and we talk about a lot of her habits and routines and things that she likes to do to really push her career forward. So it's a really interesting one. This one was recorded in person rather than over Zoom. This was recorded in person around, I think it must have been late February, early March. It was just before the coronavirus pandemic kicked in. So we're very lucky to get this interview in person, which I always prefer to do because I find the atmosphere much more enjoyable. So that's it. Again, thank you everyone for listening to Season 1 up to this point. I really hope you enjoy this interview. Without further ado, my second interview with Bethany Fenton. So, last time we talked, I don't know if it was actually recorded on the podcast, though, about you being made redundant from the day job.
No, this was way before, yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
I could have sworn it was the same day that you'd recently found out you were being made redundant from the day job.
I got made redundant in July.
And how much notice did you have?
A month, and then I got paid.
And we recorded in like March, April time.
Yeah.
It was about a year ago, almost to the day, pretty much.
Yeah. So I had
weird.
no idea at the time.
Okay.
I remember, because I remember
we
I met
for
with
coffee,
you.
Didn't we, about it?
Yes.
That was it.
Yeah.
I knew, because I knew you told me in person.
Yeah.
And I thought the last time I'd seen you was then, but
Yes.
it wasn't. We've seen each other since. So, anyway, so you quite publicly have talked about being made redundant and how you were like, right, this is my chance. I'm going to take the opportunity, take the bull by the horns, and all of that sort of stuff, and kind of, you know, if you want to be woo-woo about it, it's the universe telling me something, that I should go all in, etc, etc, etc. So that was, okay, let's call it 9 months ago, shall we say.
Yeah, it was.
I think the main reason that we need to talk is to find out what the hell happened, how it's gone, if you're still a full-time actor, etc, etc, and really just kind of like talk about what that experience has been, because obviously I've had you on the podcast before. We talked about opinions on the industry and things like that when, you know, before this kind of full-time actor mode kicked in.
Yeah.
And I just think it'd be, as I said to you when I reached out to get you back on, it'd be an interesting perspective of everything, because not many people either have the capacity or the balls, quite frankly, to give it a go. So, how did it go?
Well, I'm still trying to decide if this is a really good or really bad thing. I think it's a good thing. So yeah, like you said, I was made redundant. And the last time I spoke to you on the podcast, I had a full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very jammy because my managers were really supportive and they would just let me go to auditions. I wouldn't even have to take holiday. And then if I was shooting, I would use holiday days to do that. But I was on a salary, working 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, had enough money to live. So really, my attention was put on my full-time job. But I knew I wanted to be an actor, but my energy wasn't really going there. So the outcome of that was that I was doing way more office work and the inspiration was in the back of my mind, but it wasn't a priority.
Sure.
But I was in a really fortunate position, I realise now, because then I did get made redundant and straight away I was like, I need another full-time job on a salary that's going to allow me to pursue acting. And then I realised how impossible that was and how fortunate I had been.
Yeah.
And also just job descriptions on LinkedIn and the admin, I was like, this is actually not what I like doing. Kind of kills me. And I spoke to my mum, and at this point I was like, I think I might want to be an actor, but I'm not going to bring it up yet. I'm just going to explain. I'm not sure what I want to do, but I think it might be this. And actually I didn't even bring it up, and she said, do you know what I think you should do? You're 25. You aren't married, don't have a partner, don't have kids, you don't have a mortgage, you don't have any obligations except what you want to do, what's going to make you happy. Give it 6 months and just see if it works, it works. If it doesn't, you can go back to doing what you were doing before or work it out or whatever.
Sure.
So at this time, you're young and just see what happens. And that was 9 months ago.
I really wish. Do you know what? I really wish I had someone have that chat with me. As somebody who now does have responsibilities, I do have a family to worry about. I do have a partner. I do have responsibilities. Like, worst case scenario before would have been, I got to move back in with my mum and dad in Birmingham. That would have been the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
That's not the case for me anymore. And I look back now and think, it actually would have been so much easier if I had just gone, do you know what? Rent be damned, landlords be damned. I'm going to give this a go, and if it doesn't work out, then let's go to plan B, which should be, let's get the day job. Because I look at some of the work, and I just kind of think, actually, you know what? If it's about making ends meet rather than about trying to get more acting work, I think the type of work that you go for is very, very different. Yeah. Which, when you're a bit idealistic about what your career is going to look like and everything like that, you kind of go after the more artistic, more, shall we say, glamorous work. Yeah. And I think that's an easy temptation, an easy trap to fall into. Yeah. Whereas actually I think the people that I'm now seeing, I'm 30, I'm 8 years into the industry. The people that I see that are working consistently, from the people that kind of left drama school around that time, were the ones that weren't so picky about the work that they were getting when they first graduated. They were the ones that were doing like TIE projects and corporate work and role play work and all that sort of stuff. And I look back now and think, damn, I really made the wrong call, because I was busy setting up my theatre company because I wanted to do theatre work. I was busy, trying to get into some short films to get showreel footage, which is all good stuff to do. But if I didn't have the day job to pursue, if I didn't have the day job and had more time to pursue, if I didn't have the day job to pay the bills and had to pursue other work in order to pay the bills, I would be doing corporate work. I would have been doing TIE work, and my CV would rack up, and actually I would be making more connections. So the financial cost, perhaps, is outweighed by the networking and the building a solid foundation for your business and things. Yeah, which I'm sure you can kind of talk about anyway. Yeah. I suppose, to summarise, I just wish somebody had had that conversation with me when that was still an option, because it's not an option for me anymore. Yeah.
You've got a different experience to bring to your work now,
Yeah,
though.
absolutely.
Life experience.
But equally, it is making me go, okay, well, I now have to make this work. I now have to make the acting thing work.
That is
and I have to
exactly
work out
it.
how to transition from having a day job to pay the bills. Because I can't be in a position where I can go and do a fringe show for 3 weeks that's not paid.
Yeah.
I don't have that luxury. I don't have that option. Which at the time, you know, when you're in the position of paying rent in London and whatnot, you're kind of like, oh, you know, it's all difficult and I've got to pay the bills because I'm going to be homeless, and you know, so it's pressure that's there, but actually it's pressure you're putting on yourself rather than actually.
I think that's the thing. So the security was completely taken away from me. I would never have left that job anytime soon, if at all. If I hadn't been made redundant, I would have stayed in that routine. Great if I get acting work, but it doesn't matter so much because I'm still paying my rent and bills, and I do want it.
Yeah.
But I just appreciated that security. And I think also part of me still doesn't believe that I can do it. Right. So I would never have said, yeah, I'm going to leave it all and go and be an actor, because I don't really believe that I can do it still.
Right.
And now it's funny that I've just realised my mum was like, give it 6 months. And it's been 9 months and it's fine and it's going well. And I've had consistent work to pay my rent and bills. I do have 2 jobs.
Okay.
So I work in a cafe and I work at Shakespeare's Globe, front of house, which is amazing. That pays, it's still like, you know, hourly. It's not a salaried job, and you have to work hours and you have to earn holiday. You don't get paid if you're ill, corona, but I have been getting paid for acting work since the summer, so it's working essentially.
So let's talk about this then, right? Because this is where it gets really interesting for me.
Yeah.
Because, okay, how many jobs in the 6 months, acting jobs in the 6 months prior to being made redundant did you get?
So I was really nerdy and I had an Excel spreadsheet.
I'm so on board with this. Do you know what? I am now getting to the point where, I mean, I demonstrated to you how much I'm geeky about all this stuff. Okay. I am so on the let's gather data train at the minute. Yeah. I am so on board with that, and I'm about to start setting up a similar thing. So, spreadsheet.
So, okay.
What did your spreadsheet tell you?
Before, when I had a full-time job, I don't know the exact numbers, I'm going to say 3 or 4. And that was over the space of a couple of years. I had a few short films.
So you're averaging out at 1 job every 6 months?
Maybe something. It was more unpaid jobs. That was the thing.
Right. But equally, time either on stage or in front of camera or in a rehearsal room, 1 job every 6 months, regardless of how much they've been paid.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then I got made redundant in July. Yeah. I immediately booked a small role on Grantchester, featured.
You did?
I did.
Did you meet Tom Brittany?
Yes.
I have worked with him
on
an
really
unpaid
nice
student film. Great guy.
And what was so funny was that we were shooting in this bar, and it was a bar in my home, in Hertford, where I went to school. So I was waiting outside the bar in my period costume, waiting to do this scene, and I just looked to the side and I was like, oh, I was drunk on that step when I was 18 eating chicken nuggets, and now I'm on Grantchester. So it was a nice, full circle. Yeah. Anyway, irrelevant. So that came up straight away. And then I booked, in September, a commercial for MTV with Gemma Collins.
Amazing.
And we shot that in September to come out in November ahead of Christmas. And then I was on a TV show called The Rook, which it was on Stars with a Z.
Okay, Stars Play.
My part got drastically reduced
But not cut.
Might as well have been cut. So all my lines were cut, but I still got paid for the lines, even though they didn't use it.
But you didn't get paid the big payout.
No.
That's a shame.
And then I did
a reality of the acting career, guys. I'm just saying.
#actors life.
It happens.
It does happen.
The booking, it doesn't mean you're going to get paid.
It was a great day on set. Great food. And then I did a play Do you know Sunny Beckett? You know Sunny.
I
don't
know
you?
Sunny
Yeah.
Beckett, yeah.
So
Oh yeah,
I
you
play
worked
with
with her as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did that, and then recently I did a commercial for McDonald's.
Great.
And auditioning way more.
So, jobs booked.
Mm.
We're looking at matching
Triple.
at least matching in 6 months.
Yeah.
What you managed in 2 years prior.
Yes.
And also getting paid for them.
Yeah.
What do you think was the difference maker?
It really mattered now because I was like, I need to make this work because I'm not getting paid as much at all. So there's a massive guilt in the back of my mind, which I still have. So I'm working at the cafe. I have a couple of days off during the week. And those days, if I'm at home in my flat doing something, I'm like, I can't be doing nothing, have to do something. Because otherwise I'm going to be on the street if I don't work.
Yeah.
And so reaching out to people, applying to stuff, talking to people, but being available actually. So if someone says, are you free to shoot on this day tomorrow? I don't have to be like, let me ask my manager. Let me see if I can arrange a meeting. I can just say, yeah, free. What do you need? Even if I'm working at the cafe, it's really good because someone can take my shift.
And people really like to shit all over these 0-hour contract stuff, don't they? But I tell you what, before I was in the day job that I'm currently in, I'm freelance in the day job that I'm currently in, which is great. So I get a lot of benefits that the 0 hours contracts get. But before that, I was on 0 hours. Yeah. And it was a fucking godsend.
Yeah,
it's an absolute godsend for people working in the gig economy like we do. This gig economy turn of phrase that's appeared in the last 2 years as if it's not happened before, but there we are. They're great because you can pick up the phone and say, I ain't coming in. Yeah. And there's not really much they can do beyond not offering you shifts further down the line. So you got to be sensible with it. But
yeah, and I have a really good relationship with my managers and the girls I work with at the cafe, in that I say I can't do this, they'll be like, oh amazing, what acting job are you doing? And then someone else will be more than happy to take it because there are so many creatives working at my cafe, essentially all of us. We've got illustrators, filmmakers, 4 of us are actors. So if you're like, I can't do it, can someone take my shift? More than likely a skint artist is going to be like, yes.
money.
I can do that tomorrow. I'm free.
Yeah. So a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Kind of makes you work harder. So, because one of the things that I always think could be discussed more in the industry, I think my opinion on a lot of the podcasts and online courses that are out there about being all about self-help stuff and nothing practical, and my feelings on that. But what doesn't seem to get talked about anywhere, and I can't find it anywhere really that's in any kind of detail. So I want to talk about a week in the life of you,
right?
As a I wouldn't quite say full-time actor. No. But you're trying to live that lifestyle. Yeah. As much as you can. So, let's get into the nitty-gritty. Okay. Your day jobs, cafe and the Globe. So on an average week, how many days would you say you're working?
So I just want to... I will precursor this by saying tomorrow will be my 14th day in a row of working without a day off. Okay. And then my day off is on Friday, which would be the first day off in 14 days. Yeah. So I start on a Saturday. I work every single Saturday at the cafe. Yeah. Sundays, I always work at Shakespeare's Globe, front of house. Mondays to Fridays really varied. Yeah. Do you want to know this week just gone, like how it generally looks?
Yeah, if this week just gone is an average week for you, then let's go with that.
So I would say 2 or 3 days, probably 2 days working at the cafe. Okay. And
a shift is normally how long?
Usually it's either 7:30 in the morning till the afternoon, or it's 10:30 until 6:30.
Right.
which
So you're
is
doing
more
like an
often what
8-hour
I
day,
do.
like
Yeah.
a full-time day.
Yeah.
It's just the hours might
Yeah.
not be standard 9 to 5
Yes.
office hours. Okay.
Exactly.
Which makes a hell of a difference.
Yeah. It's good to be flexy.
Yeah.
And then do auditions. Sometimes I book a job. So tomorrow I'm shooting something. Later today I'm shooting something. They can be half days or full days. And then also with my cafe, I do, it's not promo work, but we do market stalls in and around the city.
Right.
So I'll go into head offices and talk about the work we do at the cafe, because it's a social enterprise charity cafe. So I do that as well, and it completely varies day to day where I'm stationed.
Nice transferable skill there.
Yeah. Get us to chat to everyone. It varies day to day, Monday to Friday, what I do, but it's usually something.
Do you ever take time off from the day jobs, not because you've got an audition, not because you've got self-tape to do, not because you're ill, not because you want time off, but time off specifically in order to focus on your acting? To go, do you know what? I haven't put in the hours to my career. I'm going to book a day off.
This is a good challenge because I realise that I need to. I definitely need to. This Friday I'm off and I'm going to do that because there's a few things I need to send off, a few emails I need to send. Yeah, I need to, because at the moment I'm panicking so much about staying afloat and working that I don't turn anything down. So I accept all work, but then I'm at
Which
a cafe,
really is kind of,
and I'm at
I think,
Vogue
where you
and...
want to be.
Yeah.
In a way. Like...
I think it's definitely right to accept all jobs.
I think the fear is healthy.
Yeah.
When it comes to day job versus acting work.
Yeah.
I actually think, and I think you kind of touched on this in your blog post you did about nearly giving up.
Oh yeah. Always.
I think it's healthy to make from the day job a little less than you need. I mean, this is one man's opinion of somebody that hasn't had the balls to do it. But theoretically, I think it's healthy if you can, if you've got the balls to do it. I don't, and I've got a family to look after now, so I've got that. I've got that get out of jail free, right? But
I can go without eating.
Yeah, I mean, if you could maybe make 100 or 200 less than you actually need, not to make you comfortable, but need,
and the pressure,
then it means that you have to accept some acting work that month, right?
Yeah. And
how sustainable that is, I don't know. I've never tried it, but I think that's probably a healthy thing, right? Because you've got that fear, which means, you know, it's multiple streams of income, right? You've got day job 1, day job 2, and your acting. And your acting equally needs to be a revenue stream that's bringing in the money.
Yeah, ideally.
In order for you to make ends meet. I think that's healthy because you have got the safety net of doing extra hours at the cafe.
Yeah.
If you get to week 4 of the month and you go, okay, shit, I need an extra 200 quid. Are there an extra couple of shifts I could do, for example?
Yeah.
Because also you'll have the energy to do that, because if you've made 200 quid less in the month than you need, you've had the extra days off.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm just shooting the shit here and just like...
No, that does make sense.
Throwing theories around, but I think that's healthy, right?
Yeah. It's
so
healthy,
anyway,
but it's good
it's
for
not
the
financially
mental health?
healthy. Yeah. So you've been struggling about, you know, the worries and the pressures of making rent and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and I think even when I am making rent, like, so was it 2 weeks ago, I was telling everyone, I'm gonna give up because it's so hard and I can't do it and I'm never gonna make it, and you are struggling. I think it's when you see how you used to live. Yeah. I work all weekends now, so I don't have a social life. I can't afford to go out drinking. I can't afford to go out and have a meal out, really. So I was like, is it worth it? Because I'm not doing all of that stuff. I'm not acting as much as I want to. And society does tell you that the jobs that I do are not valuable. So I think in a way inside I'm like, what I'm doing is not valuable. I know that's shit now because that's just what we're told. But actually, I really love working in a cafe and serving people and chatting to people. But sorry, I can't remember where I was going with that. I wanted to give up, and then I think if I do give up, I'm going to regret it, because at this time in my life I can do this. And then I booked an advert a couple of days later, which has paid my rent for a month and a half. So
Right.
you just don't know.
So then you've got a month and a half runway.
Yeah.
Where you can kind of be like, right, let's push.
Yeah.
I think this is why I think, you know, commercial work is so valuable to an actor, because the commercial work is the financial runway.
Yeah.
To give you the time to put more time in. Like, that money's got to be invested. I actually have a separate bank account for my acting work, which I think is advisable for everyone.
When I get paid,
and when
I put it straight into the
when
savings.
acting work pays, that goes into the acting bank account.
Yeah.
Because that's my business's money. And so if that business then a month later has to pay me my rent because no money's come from anywhere else, let's say, that's what it's there for. I mean, I'm not being in that position. Again, got the day job that does that, but that's what that money is there for.
Yeah.
If money is a bit tight, my acting business can kind of top it up a little bit. Exactly. But if I do make that choice, that's equally money I then don't have for headshots, I don't have for marketing, I don't have for workshops, I don't have for whatever, spotlight, all that sort of stuff. So let's break down then, going back to the week in the life of.
Okay. Yes.
So you're doing, it sounds actually like you're not in too dissimilar a position that I was in before I was at the current day job. The day job I was before, I was working in hospitality, 0 hours contract. I was working evenings in the weekends.
Yes. All the time.
And so when it's acting day, right, and it's like, right, I'm not at the day job. Today is a day to focus on my business.
Yes.
How do you spend that day? Do you put in enough time, do you think? Do you what's your to-do list, shall we say?
Okay, so I wake up pretty early, quite an early bird. Have my coffee, have my breakfast, put on an acting podcast while I'm getting ready.
Any recommendations?
The Two Shot podcast.
Great choice.
Scroobius Pip. So that's not an acting one per se, but he interviews a lot of actors on there. He's had Stephen Graham and people on there.
Great.
The Adam Buxton podcast, he interviews a lot of actors and comedians and trying to think of others. There are other podcasts are available, but those are kind of quite good ones. The Desert Island Discs one, sometimes they have actors on there. There was a really good one with Stephen Graham recently. So I do that. And then I go on Twitter for quite a while. So on Twitter,
but what you're
it's
doing
kind
on
of
Twitter,
my acting.
That's the thing.
That is kind of my acting profile. Instagram is just for fun. Facebook I don't really use, but Twitter I'm following filmmakers, directors, and other actors. So I see what they're up to. I see what plays are on, what films I need to watch. I might reach out to some people. And then I've got a number of friends who I've kind of forged relationships with. And they're all genuine friendships, but they're just people I've kind of found whose work I like, filmmakers and stuff. So I've gone for coffee with them on some days, on days off, just to chat with them, go to the BFA bar with actors. It's always there. Let's go to BFI and get a coffee or a drink. Might see them in the evening, but then applying to castings on Mandy. Spotlight. Spotlight's a bit different when you have an agent, because you have to send things to your agent for them to put you forward for stuff. So
you send the little nudge.
So as I was saying to you before, agents, like lists of agents, and if there are people you want to speak to or work with,
Yeah.
putting together cover letters, CVs, making sure
Let's just
spotlight's all good.
touch
Okay.
on the casting bit.
Okay.
Something for casting things. So is it Mandy and Spotlight?
Mandy and Spotlight.
Anything else?
Twitter.
Right. But I think that's legit.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I'm from a different generation of actor. No, because I mean, you're what, 2 years into the industry?
Yeah, officially.
So I trained originally 2008 to 2011, and between 2011 and probably about a year ago, everybody was like, "Oh, this social media stuff is a waste of time. Nobody's ever going to be getting jobs from social media." Blah 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 blah. I see more people now getting jobs from social media than I do from Spotlight.
Yeah.
Like,
accurate.
not high level stuff, not like mainstream stuff, but paid work
Yeah.
that pays the bills, all from social media. I see now the people that were going on about social media being a waste of time scrambling to try and secure their kind of place in the marketplace, because that's what Twitter is, and Facebook equally is. Their marketplaces where people are talking through text rather than verbally.
Yeah.
And it's a water cooler.
I think as well, it's there's been quite a few by Shaheen Bay casting recently for actors who are like very specific where they come from, their ethnicity, their experience.
I
looking
cannot
for
tell
swimmers.
you how many actors I have seen typing on social media the fact that casting directors don't cast through social media.
Yeah, they do. The good ones do. Because
it's not necessarily means that it's the
for...
great roles, and it's not the it's not the really juicy stuff.
They're looking for
but they are
genuine
casting.
people, like very specific. So the one that Shaheen posted the week just gone, looking for two girls who could play Syrian refugees from the age of 18 to 20, really strong swimmers, and can speak fluent. I don't know what language it was, maybe. Not sure, but she put it out on Twitter because you're going to find more people are going to tag people, that's you've got those skills, instead of Spotlight using filters. Who's got these? And so I think it's a really good tool for finding new emerging talent, especially. And like you said, it might not be the next blockbuster isn't going to get cast on Twitter, granted, but there are a lot of valid, good opportunities on there.
I'm going to tell a story now. I don't know if I told you this story last time that you were on.
Okay, go for it. No.
When I was in my first bout of training, 2008, 2011, before I went there, I set up my website, built it all. Social media wasn't really properly a thing at that point. Facebook had just become mainstream. I'm showing my age. Well, Facebook had just become mainstream. Facebook pages, I don't think, were actually even a thing at this point. So this whole using social media for business thing had not really become the thing. So I built a website before I went to uni, because I understood that one of the main things that I can do in order to get myself in a good position before I graduate is make sure that my name is on the internet.
Yeah.
So that when people search that name, I come up.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you the degree to which I was laughed out of the fucking room by people I was training with. To the degree that actually a couple of them decided to prank call me one night.
Yeah. You haven't told me
pretending to be a casting director or director or something.
Oh, wait.
And to say that they had seen my website. And because I'd been documenting stuff on there, what I'd been working on and things, that they'd seen my website and that they wanted to meet with me. And I was like, yeah, sure. And then,
that's cruel.
Right? But who's fucking laughing now? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I was fucking right, and I'm not the sort of person to be like, I fucking told you. But
I know, yeah.
It's the short-sightedness sometimes of people in the industry, I think, that go, oh, this social media is all a waste of time. All this online stuff is a waste of time. And I'm like, well...
At least you're doing that. At least you're putting yourself out there.
It's proactivity. Yeah. It's making sure that I understand marketing, because this business is marketing.
Yeah.
It is marketing. Every aspect of it is marketing. The casting decisions eventually come down to who's the bigger name. When it comes to like Hollywood level, who's going to get more bums on seats? I know somebody who was with a top agent being put in for auditions opposite the likes of Johnny Depp and people like that. And they'd get to the final round, and while she was a more experienced actor, in terms of actual number of credits, they'd go for the other person because the other person was more well known.
I do hate that.
And it's a fact of this industry, and as much as people want to deny that it's not, it is a fact of this industry, because at the end of the day, anybody making a film that is actually has the budget to be paying people is doing so from business decisions, their economical decisions.
I think up to a certain point, when it comes to big corporate productions like that, when you have a production company who's been put extremely under pressure to get this money, that is definitely the case. But then I think some of the best films and best projects that I love and admire have got these actors who are completely unknown, and
there are exceptions, right? But these are conscious decisions that are made by the production teams.
Yeah.
They are not just kind of off the cuff decisions of let's go with an unknown because we really, really like her. Look at I think of the Star Wars trilogy that's just finished. Right? They deliberately were going for small names for the lead roles, and that is a conscious artistic decision, because that is what the Star Wars brand is known for. It's plucking people out of obscurity and creating stars out of them. That's what it's known for. That's what they were going for. They were after young talent who had a future that could carry a franchise. John Boyega, though had credits to his name, was relatively unknown. If you look at Daisy Ridley's CV pre-Star Wars, Casualty, I think, is all she'd really done at that point. They were looking for unknowns. I love that,
though. I think that makes.
But that wasn't an off the cuff decision. They didn't just. They made it very public that they were after unknown new talent.
Yeah.
If they had wanted to, they could have got the big names in. But Star Wars does that in other ways. They get the big names for other roles.
Yeah.
Adam Driver, again, he had credits to his name, but
amazing.
he wasn't incredibly well known at that point.
That face, though, how would you not cast him?
What an incredible look.
I know.
but these are conscious decisions.
Yeah,
they are not decisions that are
saying.
made just because somebody fancies it at the time. The producers, at the end of the day, if a Hollywood film or a TV show spends 500 million on making it, they want to be looking at getting at least $1 billion back, to please the shareholders.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
They need somebody who's kind of built a name for themselves.
They are but I mean, I'm not saying that if you're not famous or what, you've got no hope. But I think it's too easy, because there are two sides to the story. Because equally there are productions that will,
like, the other end of the spectrum. I would say that's to a certain point. And
but
for me, I'm
if you want to be playing in the game, you need to know the rules of the game. Yeah. And at the end of the day, any production of any kind is making business decisions, unless it's not a business that's making the production. If it's student films, if it's passion projects in inverted commas and things like that, those people won't make those sorts of decisions. But the people that make their living off of this industry know that equally, in the same way that you need to pay your rent, they need to pay their rent, and so their decisions are going to match that. And I think that's just a reality that we need to start talking about in this industry. Is just, at the end of the day, it's not personal. I was listening to a podcast the other day. I think I mentioned it in another interview that I've recorded for this. I was listening to a podcast the other day. They were talking to the casting director or casting assistant from an audition that they did, and they were saying, "Oh my god, it was the most amazing audition! Like, you absolutely smashed it! Like, I was actually in tears watching your performance back on camera after you'd left. Like, it really hit all of the emotional tone we were looking for." Didn't book the job.
Why?
We don't know. But the point is, despite the fact they smashed it out of the park.
Yeah.
They didn't book the role.
Isn't it? I actually had I had that. No, I had that with a lovely lady. She reached out to me and was like, we're looking for a younger version of this actress and you kind of look like her and I love your show reel, can you do a self-tape? And I did, and she sent me the nicest email back saying, we loved it, it's great. I watched it back twice, this guy watched it and he really loved it as well. And then I didn't get it either, but she said, I want you to know it's not you, it's not personal, we've just gone with this person.
But you booked the room.
Yeah, and she's stayed in touch with me and
exactly.
All of that. But what you were saying as well with kind of the artistic license of casting somebody big who's going to get money and who's a well-known name. Did you see this report recently by these independent filmmakers? It's a lot of the lodestars of tomorrow who are up and coming, and just the funding in independent film is so not there.
I did see that.
And I think that's such a shame because, like, I love independent films and it's kind of... I want to be more involved in independent filmmaking because I think the decisions are so genuine and they come from... They take more risks than just...
They come from a place of artistic integrity.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
And one of my favourite films is Fish Tank by Andrea Arnold, with Michael Fassbender, and he wasn't really known at the time, but the star, the girl, Katie Jarvis, is amazing, and she was an unknown, but she absolutely makes the film. And the same for a film called The Selfish Giant by Cleo Barnard. Uses two genuine best friends, two schoolboys, and people aren't going to see the poster and be like, it's that guy from Bolton. But they made the film. They're my favourite films because of the performances in them, and I just like
the
rage against this. Oh, but this person has this many followers on Instagram. It's Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're quite at the point yet where decisions are being made around followers on social media. Though there are stories that that's starting to happen. I don't think we're there yet. But what I do think, and again, I think is a reality of the business, I suppose is what I'm trying to say is how sellable is the product if you are in it versus someone else.
And I think that is very true when you are signed, because you're not a product, but you are a client, and how they can sell you, what your presence is like. You are an example to your management team. It's like, can we put you forward for something? Do you present yourself well? Do you come across well? You are being marketed in that way, so you do have to look after the package as it is.
Again, as I said, how we kind of got onto this topic, every level of this industry is about marketing. Yeah, it all is, to the point of product placement. Is Amiga Watches happy the fact that Daniel Craig is wearing their watch?
Oh my god.
Will Amiga Watches be happy if I'm wearing their watch? Probably not. And that sort of level. I mean, that's a really shit example, but equally, those brands are equally aware of who's wearing what, and that's where some of the money's coming from. So these are all things that you have to consider as part of the business. Now, that's not to say that, you know, every level has to be about, are you going to sell the tickets? You know, that's not necessarily true, but all aspects are about marketing to some degree. Yeah.
And I think as well, when you get casting announcements, people want people to come and see certain things, and it's like, casting announcement, we've got this person and this person in this, and then people are going to buy tickets. I guess that's quite a theatre thing, but not even for films, like Doctor Who, like getting a buzz around the casting, then people are going to want to see it. So
absolutely. And I just think it's not talked about enough. I think there's too much in this industry of be talented, and actually it's just not the truth of the industry. Though it's a contributing factor, there are so many absolutely electric actors that aren't getting booked for stuff. And that could be their audition technique, that could be their headshots, that could be their show reel. There's so many factors around all of it. And I'm not saying that it's just because you're not a well-known name that you're not necessarily getting booked in. But it's not... This industry is not all about talent. It's not.
I know.
That's the truth. And we're taken through drama school and told that it is all about talent. It's a contributing factor, don't get me wrong. If you're shit, you ain't going to work. But just being
You've got
the
to
best...
be realistic, haven't you?
Just being the best is no guarantee of work.
Yeah.
At all. There are people that are less talented than others that know how to smash an audition. Mm-hmm. That's more helpful than being the best that can't smash an audition. If you're super talented but you haven't got your audition game down, you're not going to book. That's the reality.
Yeah.
Hey guys, so I just wanted to take a few minutes just to talk about my friends over at Anchor, who are not only sponsoring this episode of the podcast, but making it possible in so many other ways, in that they are actually my podcast hosts. They're the people that I upload the podcast to in order for it to get to your devices, essentially. They host it. If you've ever considered launching a podcast, I definitely check them out. If you've not heard of Anchor, let me explain. So first of all, and which is probably the best thing for you to hear straight up, is that it's free. There's no cost at all for you to use Anchor, which is so different to so many other podcasting platforms. And to be honest, there are some podcast platforms out there that are free, but usually come with a bit of a catch, or some premium models, but that's not the case for Anchor at all. And there are creation tools that Anchor have that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or from your computer. So you don't need any additional microphones or any software or, any expense really on getting your podcasts recorded and off the ground, at least in the first instance. And Anchor will also distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many other platforms, some of which I've never even heard of until I started using Anchor. And it can be a real pain to get those distribution models set up as well when you're first launching, particularly if you don't know what you're doing, but Anchor takes care of all of that for you. You don't even have to lift a finger. And you can make money from your podcast as well with sponsorships like this, with no minimum listenership, which getting sponsorship deals used to be so difficult because you need listenerships of like 10,000 listens per episode. It used to be nuts, but Anchor will get all that sorted and they'll set up the deals for you. So again, you don't have to lift a finger. So really, it's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place with minimal effort on your part. I cannot oversell this. That is why they're now my podcast hosting platform of choice, my go-to. No other options are really on the table for me right now. So if you have been considering launching a podcast, do check them out. Download the free Anchor app onto your mobile device or go to anchor.fm to get started. So I'm aware that we're like chugging along with time.
Oh.
And
how long's it been?
We've got we've been going for about 45 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
Time flies.
I just want to now go back to the main question.
Okay.
Which we've kind of been going off on tangents on. So, you've been looking at your castings. You've been looking at your casting breakdowns.
Yeah.
On your days.
Yeah.
You've been searching through the marketplace on social media, particularly Twitter, which I think is great use of your time. How long would you say you spend on Twitter? On average?
Per day?
Yeah. If it's an acting day, shall we say.
Not that long, to be honest. Maybe like 45 minutes.
I think that's a good amount of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's good.
If that, because half the time it's irrelevant.
Yeah, but 45 minutes of going through and seeing what's going on,
yeah,
I think that's good. Okay, so you've done all that. What's next? You touched on it briefly, but I kind of cut you off because I wanted to go back to the casting breakdown. So you've done your morning routine, you've sat on your Twitter, you've done your casting breakdowns. Yeah. What's usually after that?
Reaching out to people, potentially.
Such as agents, casting directors, things like that?
Agents, yeah.
Yeah?
So, yeah. Am I allowed to talk about agents?
If you want to talk about
agents. All I will
agents,
say is that I'm in between agents right now.
Right, okay.
And I have spoken, and that's well known by them, and it's well known by me. We've had the conversation.
Yeah.
The letter has been written. Papers have been filed.
All the affairs are in order.
Yeah, it's all fine. So I'm just looking for my next move, my next step.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been researching. So I would say if you're on Spotlight, there is a really good database on there for contacts, especially for agents. if anyone wants to get in touch, I have a list that I've put together: lower tier, higher tier, and top tier agents.
Great.
So I'm going to contact lower tier and some mid tier and one top tier just to see what happens.
Yeah.
Do that. So writing a solid cover letter with specific names. I've spent a lot of time doing that, specific ones for each person. My CV, editing show reels and making sure that is consistent. I spend a lot of time on my show reel.
Good.
And credits. And something that baffled me, there's a podcast on Spotlight about actors, and I listened to this one the other day, and she was saying that agents spend so much time updating your credits and your show reel that they can't spend time looking for work for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I was baffled by that, because I thought as soon as I've done something, as soon as I can, I put that credit on my CV. So I'm constantly updating that, and any show reel footage, I update that myself very keenly.
But Beth, let's be real here. That particular person was not talking about you specifically.
No, right. But I mean, there are actors out there who don't maintain.
That's what baffled you. Okay, sorry. So I misunderstood what you were saying.
Spotlight know who I am, and they're coming for me.
No, I mean in the sense of like that's not a guilt trip aimed at you,
no.
like that.
But when they said that,
but I misunderstood what you meant. Sorry.
Talking about me.
Yeah.
I can't believe people don't like come off a job and think I need to update when I can.
Yeah. I always think agents earning at most 20%. So at most they should be doing 20%.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
They're only earning 20% of your business, so they should only be putting in 20% of the work of your business. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to put in 10 hours, then they're not going to put in 2.
Yeah.
Or no,
I mean,
8 hours, they're not going to put in 2.
That's
Sorry,
really important.
Maths was never my strong point. Yeah, if you're not willing to put in 8 hours, why should they be willing to put in 2?
Yeah. And that's really true, because they are working for you. I think we forget.
Yeah.
You're not doing it for them. So anyway, spend a lot of time maintaining the old health and fitness checks on the CV and the show reel and the Spotlight. And then I try and watch a film at some point during the day.
Okay.
Because that always inspires me.
When you're watching films and TV, are you... To what degree is that work? Like, what are you doing to make that productive time?
I find the admin of all of it and the management, it's not doing the work. It is, in that it's preparing you to do it. But I get so drained of that stuff, and then I forget why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And why I got into it and why I love it. So then if I can watch something... I'm watching a lot of This Country at the moment because it's amazing, the new series. I've got a list of films that I need to watch. So I watch one of them, and just it kind of gives me a bit of an oomph as to why I'm doing this. How amazing that actor is, how amazing this moment was. I want to create those moments. So that's why I'm approaching these people, and it just makes me energized. Are
you note-taking or anything like that, or is it purely a passive kind of give me inspiration, recharge my batteries kind of
so it's giving
effort?
Me inspiration, but in a way it's not really passive, because it's like I don't know, I don't want to be lame about it, but
be as lame as you want.
Just be inspired and experience the story, and be taken into a performance or a universe or something. Yeah. Okay, so anything else in your day? I feel like I'm
you've
missed something.
You're not working hard enough, Beth.
I feel
your agent is spending too much time updating your CV. No, but I think it's a genuine. It's something I battle with a lot, and that's why I find it interesting, and also interesting that not many people talk about it in terms of like how are you spending that time?
What are you doing?
Like, no, but I think because sometimes like you can be like, I'm gonna have a really productive day, and then you're like, right, I'll go on Mandy. turn on all my filters. Oh, there's 5 castings for what I'm appropriate for, and even then the filter system on Mandy is so rubbish that actually there's only one role that I'm actually suitable for, because, for example, they want African American, and I'm not African American, so that's that one of the 5 struck off that I can't even apply for, let alone anything else. So you do that, and then you're like, right, spotlight, and then you're like, again, much of the same. I'm not suitable for that one, that one. And then you're kind of like, your day of productivity lasts about
so you're right,
an hour, and you're like, I've now looked at all the casting breakdowns.
I think this is why it's hard, because as you're saying this, I'm like, what do? I probably don't. It's so out of our hands, because we can't say, on my day off, I secured an audition. I got myself in a room. I booked 5 days shooting. You can't do that as an actor. So I find I'm just preparing myself for work. So I'm keeping myself inspired by watching films and listening to podcasts. I'm making sure that I am at least making some effort in reaching out to people. I'm on Twitter so that people know that I'm there. I'm interacting with people. I'm aware of what's going on. Especially award season, if there were films that were awarded and I hadn't seen, watch those. New things on Netflix, I'm making my list of things to watch. But really, you're right, because it's so out of our hands. Like, what can you practically do? Yeah. Aside from arranging a coffee with a director without being like, so I'm an actor and you're a director and love me.
I think it is a battle, though, and I think it's one that I'm constantly asking, which is why I'm kind of wanting to get down the whole data-driven kind of approach and go, well, hang on, can I get some information and gather all that stuff where actually a bigger picture's starting to form, where I can say, actually, if I do this, this results in this. If I do that, it's actually a waste of my time, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I guess it depends what you want the outcome to be. Like, do you want the things you do on your day off to result in a booked job? I suppose, probably. Yeah. But it's so hard to do that because there are so many variables. Yeah. It's a challenge, isn't it? Me and a band of agents can't get me work, so I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. It's a challenge, and I think it's one that we as an industry need to start having a serious conversation about. It's like, actually, how can you really leverage those hours where you're not at the day job and really get the most out of them? I have thought about going back to part-time training. Okay. If there was a way I could do one day a week or an afternoon a week. I did a foundation at the Actors Temple, which was evenings twice a week. I'd recommend the Actors Centre. Yeah. But then it's the cost of like doing a couple of short courses if it's £40 a pop. Well, yeah, I suppose, but it's. Maybe how much is part time? Because the thing with the Actors Centre is you're not committing to a term of X. Very true. So if the money's not there and you can't afford to, you don't. Yeah. But it's having that honest conversation with yourself, and that's kind of what I used to do before I went back into part-time training myself. And actually, I think I didn't make the most of it, actually, and I'm thinking of getting back on it again. Yeah. Other workshops are available with other organisations. So, yeah, just before we kind of wrap up then. So you've had a very interesting 9 months. Yeah. I think it's taught you a lot. God, a lot has changed. I think a lot of conversations that we've had prior off podcast in the past, I think pennies have started to drop for you, I think, in certain ways. And I think me and you, Beth, I feel like we're a bit like kindred spirits in this industry in many ways. Like, I think we have a very similar perspective on a lot of stuff. And I see a lot of where you are now in where I was previously, and what I've learned, which is I think why I enjoy talking to you about this stuff, because I can see a lot of similarities. What would your advice be, Wayne? Oh God, do I have advice? I think my struggle is constant doubt that I'm doing the right thing. Because when you're in a job, you're like, this is me now, and I've got money, so it's fine. I tell you what, and I've been happiest in this industry, which is so easier said than done. I've been happiest in this industry
when I give myself a break, not in the sense of relaxation time, but in the sense of going, actually, you are talented, you are trained, you do know what you're doing. It's just that the industry is never going to love you back at the end of the day. And I think if the industry is making life hard anyway, the best thing you can do is be your best advocate. And just be like, do you know what? Actually, I do know what I'm doing. Like, one of the best auditions I ever had, I remember walking there going, yeah, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to walk in there. They're going to ask me to fill in a form and I'm going to fill out that form. And just the logistics of it. I'm like, I know exactly where I'm going in this building. Like, I was so calm and confident just because I'd done it so many times.
Yeah.
I remember that moment vividly. I remember exactly where I was and where I was going to and what film it was that I was auditioning for. I ultimately didn't get that role in that film, but that audition did result in a recall. And I just remember vividly going, yeah, I know what I'm doing now. Like, I'm X amount of years in.
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing. I know how this works. And I felt like a professional walking in there. And I think if you can have that air about you of like, yes, I do fucking deserve to be here. I've earned this.
I need to adopt that approach 100%.
Yeah, but those are the moments when I've been happiest in this industry.
Yeah.
And those are the moments where actually things have moved quicker for me.
Yeah.
And equally, when things have moved slowly, are the moments where I'm beating myself up, where I'm saying I'm not working hard enough. When when I'm doubting, should I be spending more time on this, or should I, or should I be spending more time with my family, or should I sit and watch Netflix, or should I be working instead? Those are the moments where I'm least content.
Yeah.
When I'm guilt tripping myself, or when I'm turning around and going, do you deserve this? Have you earned this? When I start asking those questions, that's when I struggle.
Yeah.
And we all have those moments because it's a hard industry. And as I said, the industry is not going to love you back. So you have to love your craft, your approach, what you offer, and not give a shit what the industry thinks to a degree. Equally, you do have to give a shit what the industry thinks because that's your business.
Yeah.
But understand that it's not, that it's subjective,
Yeah.
and it's not 2 + 2 = 4. Do you know what I mean? It's that person had more chemistry with that person, so we'll go with them.
Is that right?
And that aspect. So I just think, love yourself a bit more, give yourself a break, and just have more faith, I think. And I'm kind of saying this having just gone through a period where I'm like, having a bit of breakdowns because my self-tape game's not right, and I need to improve my self-tapes, and I need to improve my audition technique and all of this sort of stuff. But it's stuff that I'm going and acknowledging that I need to work on and not being in denial about.
Yeah.
And I think that balance is massively key, of being confident and going, yes, I deserve this, I've earned this, but equally going, but I still have so much work to do on myself. And taking it as a challenge as opposed to a setback.
Yeah.
And again, like, when I've made more progress in the industry is where I've gone, challenge accepted.
Yeah.
Rather than going, oh, fuck.
I know, yeah. The doubt in the back of the mind. I need to... No more doubts. Believe in myself.
So, last question, and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah.
You've had an interesting 9 months. What's been your biggest takeaway? I
think you just nailed it, essentially.
Oh, okay.
Believing in yourself enough to stand up for what you actually want. So I was like, I want to be an actor. And on one hand, that is mental because it's so hard and it continues to be hard. But I'm always reminded I'm much happier doing this because I'm standing up for what I want to do.
Yeah.
Which is a brave thing, but then also I think you owe it to yourself to do that. Otherwise it's just wasted. And it's not easy, but I am actually happy working I'm happier working in a cafe part-time, toddling off to my auditions and not getting them than I was working in an office every day.
Go figure.
So do what you want to do, and it will be hard, but you will feel good about yourself.
It's a humble lifestyle being an actor, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
That again, is not talked about enough.
And I'm sorry, I just need to slip this little note in. I was doing work with the cafe. We go to various big corporate offices to talk about the work we do. I was at Goldman Sachs yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I was at another law firm a few weeks before, and I was at a big fashion company before that. Every time I go into those places, I think, wow, these buildings are amazing. The people are so well dressed. They have amazing lunch catered for them. They all look great. They're all on amazing salaries.
Mm-hmm.
And every single time I'm duped into, that was me and that could be me and I could go back to that. Do I want to do that? And I think that every time I go in there, and every time I'm like, actually no. Next day I'm like, no, I'm going to maybe struggle with rent this month, but I'm also going to go to auditions and I'm going to meet some other people and I'm going to keep trying.
But I find that struggles to be so fulfilling. I find it to be so fulfilling.
Yeah.
And I've said with some friends that have been in it longer than I have and have done less paid acting work than I have. And we're both, for all intents and purposes, on the bottom rung of the industry. But I said, but think about how much when those big jobs do finally come, because they will, because we have the talent. When those big jobs do finally come, think about how sweet that will taste. Mm-hmm. Versus equally people I know that have done TV roles, recurring TV roles on series, but they're not big roles, they're just ever-present roles.
Yeah.
Go in, my career's not going anywhere. And I just think, your perspective is out of whack. You're earning rent from being an actor. Mm-hmm. There are thousands that would give a lot for that. And I think, again, having that humility to go, do you know what? It's not happened yet, but it will, because I'm working and I'm busting my balls, and maybe my casting type isn't on trend at the minute, for example. But trends change and things like that. And there's, but equally going, but I've got to put in the work before I can get there. And I've got to earn my place in this industry. I think that is so much more fulfilling, that perspective, than the perspective of chasing the glamour and the glitz of it.
Yeah. 100%.
Which, again, it won't love you back.
Yeah.
I just don't think it will. Talking as someone who's not experienced the glamour and glitz of the industry, really. But I get the impression from people that I know that have experienced it, that it won't love you. Well, actually, one of the interviews I've recorded for this is actually about chasing the glamour and glitz. And
I mean, there are a million ways to do that now with Instagram.
Absolutely.
Just go on Instagram, start selling pills. Or you'll get there, It's so doable now. Teeth whitening, gummies, all of that bollocks. There are ways to, if you want glitz and glam, sure, and then get on the other side and realise, oh, there are things I actually want to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Do those.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
For this chat. Again,
it's all right.
interesting
Sorry for
perspective.
my rumbly tummy.
It's all right. I don't actually think the mic will have picked it up.
Oh, great.
But you've now just admitted it. It's fine. It might have picked it up.
I'm a starving actor, Wayne.
But if people... yeah, exactly. Starving artist. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It has been a pleasure again.
Yeah, take care.
So that's it for season 1 of the In the Green Room podcast. I had hoped that there were going to be a few more episodes, but it was a little bit challenging to get those scheduled in, what with this pandemic and everything and all the other stuff that's been going on in the world. So I had hoped that the season would be a little bit longer, but this is a pilot attempt really in many respects, so I'm very happy to have managed to get 6 out there. I've already started to get people lined up for season 2, but when season 2 will be out, God only knows. But again, thank you to everybody that has listened to season 1. I really, really, really hope that you have enjoyed it. And if you haven't listened to all the episodes, please do. They all have their own stories to tell, and there are a lot of wisdom can be found from most of them as well, from my guests who have given up their time to sit and have a chat with me, which I'm very, very grateful for. So a shout out to Bethany Fenton, Michael Peluso, Rachel Lynn, Shani Topeko Brown, and Nuala McGowan for giving up their time. They are great people, and if you want to, do give them a follow on social media as well to support their careers. In the meantime, whilst we're waiting for season 2, I'd be really, really grateful for those of you who have listened to leave a review on either iTunes, Spotify, or your podcatcher of choice. Leave a nice review and share, spread the word. Spread the word is what I was trying to say. Should probably get my teeth in properly. So once again, thank you very much for tuning in, and I will see you for season 2.